You're already at the front of the TSA line when your carry-on stops moving. The officer looks at the screen, then at you, and pulls your bag aside. "This item isn't allowed," she says. No explanation yet. Your boarding pass shows 38 minutes until departure. The scanner already flagged something. The decision's made. You didn't pack anything obvious. You thought you followed the rules, but one everyday item in your bag just crossed a threshold you never knew existed, and now everyone behind you is watching while you try to figure out what went wrong. That's what security looks like in 2026. The new CT scanners don't wait for an officer to spot a problem. They flag items automatically the second your bag enters the machine. Lithium batteries over a certain watt-hour rating trigger alerts before anyone touches your bag. Liquids that look like they might exceed 3.4 ounces get stopped instantly. The system decides. The officer confirms. Human discretion enters later, if at all. This explains why your friend's portable charger sailed through last month while yours got confiscated today. Hers was 99 watt-hours. Yours hit 101. Why the sealed snow globe you bought at the gift shop still got tossed even though it's obviously decorative? It contained liquid, and the scanner doesn't recognize souvenir as a category. The patterns are knowable. Some items fail because they're one increment over the technical limit. Others get stopped because they match prohibited shapes in the imaging system. A few get confiscated because regulations changed recently and most travelers haven't caught up yet. Here's what's actually getting bags pulled in 2026. Number 1. Keychain multi-tools. It's clipped to your keys, screwdriver tip, bottle opener, maybe a small blade. You've flown with it a dozen times without issue. You toss it in the bin with your wallet and phone. The X-ray pauses, an officer pulls your tray aside and asks if you have checked luggage. You explain it's barely an inch long. Doesn't matter, straight into the confiscation bin. TSA scanners measure density and function, not size. Even tools marketed as TSA compliance show up as metal objects with blade-like edges on the screen. Officers operate under function over form protocols. If any component could theoretically penetrate or be sharpened mid-flight, it triggers a manual review. Missed violations generate incident reports. Over-confiscation generates complaints, and complaints close quietly. Officers process a dozen of these every shift. They're not debating whether your bottle opener poses a real threat. Remove anything with a pointed tip, serrated edge, or blade-shaped profile before you pack. Moving parts on metal tools? Assume they won't pass. Number 2. Pepper spray and personal defense items. Your pepper spray keychain is clipped inside a jacket pocket. The bag stops at the scanner. An officer approaches wearing gloves while another watches your reaction. It's getting confiscated and you're getting searched. Pressurized canisters register as high-density anomalies on X-ray. Officers can't distinguish pepper gel from asthma inhalers by imaging alone, so any canister-shaped object triggers inspection. Personal defense sprays fall under FAA hazmat restrictions. The propellant and chemical payload create dual violations. Even non-aerosol self-defense tools get flagged if they're designed to incapacitate. You'll face full bag search, possible questioning, and a notation on your boarding pass that marks you for secondary screening on future flights. Empty every pocket in your bags before packing. Check zippers, hidden compartments, and key rings for forgotten defense tools. Finding this helpful? Hit that like button. It tells YouTube this is the content travelers actually need. Stick around because what's coming next might be sitting in your toiletry bag right now. Number 3. Coconut oil and solid liquids. You packed coconut oil, solid at room temperature, hard as a rock when you zipped your bag this morning. The officer squeezes the jar, taps it against the table, then asks, "Is this over 3.4 ounces?" The label reads 8 ounces. Into the disposal bin. TSA defines liquids by regulatory category, not physical state. Gels, creams, pastes, anything that can liquefy under normal conditions all count as liquids. Coconut oil, thick lip balms, peanut butter, dense body lotions all trigger the liquid protocol because their molecular structure under X-ray looks identical to water-based fluids. If TSA allowed travelers to self-certify items as solid, passengers would freeze prohibited liquids, clear security, then let them thaw.
Assume anything spreadable, scoopable, or squeezable counts as liquid. Transfer what you need into travel-size containers under 3.4 ounces and pack them in your quart-size bag. Number 4. Portable blenders and rechargeable USB devices. Your portable blender sits in your carry-on. USB rechargeable, blades in the base cost you $60 online. The officer zooms the X-ray image, spots motor components and a lithium cell outline, then calls a supervisor. They ask you to power it on. It whirs to life. This isn't allowed. Embedded lithium batteries combined with motorized blade assemblies trigger dual-threat protocols. Officers can't verify battery capacity by visual inspection alone, and motorized blades resemble prohibited cutting tools on the scanner. TSA is under pressure to prevent battery fires. They logged over 80 lithium incidents on flights last year alone. Any battery-powered device without clear capacity labeling gets escalated to supervisors. If the battery's non-removable or exceeds 100 watt-hours without visible labeling, it's confiscated. Check all rechargeable items for battery specification labels before packing. No label or non-removable battery? Check it or leave it home. Number 5. Trail mix and melty snacks. I know you're trying to avoid overpriced airport food and stick to what works for your diet. Homemade trail mix in a clear container, almonds, dried fruit, chocolate chips. The scanner pauses, an officer opens the container and sees melted chocolate coating the bottom. Straight to disposal. X-ray densitometry can't distinguish solid food clusters from concealed materials when textures are mixed. Chocolate, nut butters, fruit jams all read as semi-liquid masses on the screen because their molecular structure under X-ray looks identical to water-based fluids. If TSA allowed travelers to self-certify items as solid, passengers would freeze prohibited liquids, clear security, then let them thaw. Assume anything spreadable, scoopable, or squeezable counts as liquid. Transfer what you need into travel-size containers under 3.4 ounces and pack them in your quart-size bag. Number 6. Unlabeled insulin pens. You travel with insulin. You've done it 100 times without issues. But this trip, you forgot the prescription label. The officer spots a pen-shaped object with a needle attachment. The belt stops. 2 officers approach. They ask for documentation, prescription label, or doctor's note. You don't have it. They confiscate the pen and direct you to secondary screening. Injection devices without pharmaceutical labeling trigger biohazard and contraband protocols. Officers can't distinguish insulin from performance-enhancing drugs or controlled substances by appearance alone. TSA permits medically necessary liquids over 3.4 ounces only when accompanied by documentation. Without it, you'll face a full pat-down, complete bag search, and you could miss your flight entirely.
Always carry prescription medications in original pharmacy-labeled containers. Bring a doctor's letter on official letterhead if you're traveling with injectable medications. Declare all medical items to the officer before your bag enters the X-ray. Number 7. Loose lithium batteries. You're a photographer carrying backup camera batteries. 3 or 4 lithium-ion packs tossed into a side pocket with your charging cables. Your bag rolls through the scanner. The officer flags it immediately and finds 4 loose batteries bouncing around with coins, keys, and a metal pen. These need protective cases. You didn't know. 3 of the 4 get confiscated on the spot. Loose lithium batteries are one of TSA's top fire safety concerns. When battery terminals contact metal objects, keys, coins, other batteries, they can short-circuit, generate heat, and ignite. Officers are trained to spot loose battery signatures immediately on their screens. Spare lithium batteries must travel in carry-on only, never checked, and must be protected from short-circuiting. Buy individual battery cases. They cost about $2 each. Store each spare battery in its own case or cover the terminals with electrical tape before packing. Number 8. Knitting needles and craft tools. You're planning to knit during the flight. You've flown with these needles before without problems. The scanner shows multiple long, pointed metal objects. An officer removes your knitting needles, metal, 10 inches long, sharp tips. She calls a supervisor. After a brief conversation, she hands them back with a warning. These are allowed, but if the flight crew says no, you'll surrender them.
TSA technically permits knitting needles, but final authority rests with individual TSA officers at each checkpoint and the flight crew once you're on board. This creates wildly inconsistent enforcement. Some airports wave them through without question. Others confiscate immediately, especially if the needles are metal, pointed, or longer than 7 inches. Officers assess each case based on whether the tool could function as a weapon. Switch to circular needles with short cables and rounded tips. Use bamboo or plastic instead of metal. Always pack a prepaid padded envelope. If your needles get confiscated, you can mail them home instead of losing them entirely. Frozen gel packs and ice packs. You're traveling with medication that needs refrigeration. You packed gel ice packs, completely frozen solid when you left home this morning. Your bag goes through the scanner. An officer squeezes your ice pack. It's started to thaw. There's liquid sloshing inside. This counts as a liquid. Is it over 3.4 ounces? It's a full-size pack, way over the limit. Confiscated. Frozen gel packs are only allowed if they're completely frozen solid at the moment of screening. The second any liquid is detectable, even a tiny bit of slush, the entire item falls under the 311 liquid rule. TSA officers can't verify what's actually inside gel packs by visual inspection alone. Gel packs thaw quickly, especially if you're driving to the airport or waiting in long security lines. Use frozen water bottles instead. If they're completely solid when screened, they're allowed, and you can drink the water as it melts during your flight. Number 10. Oversized or overfilled toiletry bags. You measured everything. You've got travel-size versions of all your products. You stuffed them into a quart-size bag and zipped it shut. Barely. The officer picks up your bag, squeezes it, and says, "This is overfilled. You need to remove items." TSA's rule states your quart-size bag must close completely without force. If you've crammed 15 bottles into a bag designed for 8, that's a violation, even if every individual item is under 3.4 ounces and compliant. Overstuffed bags prevent clear X-ray imaging. When bottles are jammed together, the scanner can't distinguish between individual containers, and officers can't verify compliance visually. When they find an overfilled bag, they make you unpack items right there at the checkpoint. You're standing in front of dozens of waiting passengers, deciding what to keep and what to throw away. TSA allows 1 quart-size bag per passenger, period. Use a clear quart-size bag, but don't fill it to maximum capacity. Leave room for the bag to lay flat when zipped. If you've got more than 10 items, you probably packed too much. After all these years of traveling, it feels wrong that simple, everyday items suddenly become problems. But knowing what triggers the scanners means you stay in control of your trip instead of scrambling at security. So there you have it. 10 items TSA is confiscating in 2026 that most travelers don't see coming. From keychain tools to overstuffed toiletry bags, these aren't obvious violations. They're everyday items that suddenly don't make the cut because enforcement technology caught up with regulations that have existed for years. Which one shocked you the most? Have you lost something at security that seemed completely fine to you? Share your story in the comments. I want to hear what got confiscated and how you handled it. And if this video saved you from a checkpoint disaster, hit that like button and subscribe. We're covering the travel rules that actually matter every single week. Until next time, fly smart, pack smarter, and keep your stuff out of the confiscation bin.